he was like, "Oh, there's that Anishinaabe that does CrossFit."
Welcome to Enweying, Our Sound podcast. This is a grassroots podcast intended for those raising or helping to raise children in an Indigenous language.
A special shout out to the Indigenous Screen Office for making season 2 of Enweying possible. Getcha miigwech.
Bonjour.
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 We have our first guest episode. Yeah. So,
season 2, episode 2.
Yeah, I don't know what season it is. I lost track.
Season 2.
Oh.
Ani, nichikiwe. You can laugh.
Honey. I have to laugh. You guys losing track of which season you guys are on. Like you did one.
Right?
We recorded another episode. I don't know what that was. It was like a interlude, I guess.
Interlude.
In between seasons.
Behind the scenes.
So we want to do this season with some guests every episode, some guests that are raising their children using their language. We have a lot of friends. Well, I guess I can't say a lot, but we have some friends who are trying to speak to their children in Nishinaabemwin, and then we're hoping to get maybe some other Indigenous languages, some parents on as well. But yeah, this is our first guest episode. We'll see how it goes. So we have, as we know him, Nishinaabemwin Bemwidood. Maybe I call him Bemwidood. Yeah, if you want to introduce yourself.
Mm-hmm. On in, bonjour. Nishinaabemwin Bemwidood. Indigenous cause, mina Falcon Indigo, mina Sky. Shaga and Dodem, Mon Nipissing, and Donjaba and Donda, and Dod Ben Doggers, and Doche Knomage, Mizuem on Nipissing King, Doche Knomage, where Northern Secondary School, and West Ferris Secondary School, and Chippewa Secondary School, and Indo Opta Kinomage where Nipissing University. Yeah. Oh, Nishna Ojibwe Nishinaabet Ninit and Dow. Then me. Yeah.
Jimmy Gwetch, how Geek Chinaki.
Kada Shaganashim Saduan for those ones that maybe can't speak Anishinaabe.
Yeah, my Anishinaabe name is Keeper of the Language there, Nishinaabemwin Bemwidood. I'm also called Falcon, that's my first name, and Sky is my middle name. Depending on how you know me, I have different names. I'm from Nipissing. I live in Nipissing, Nipissing band member. I work at kind of all across Nipissing territory right now. I teach in the public high schools here. And so they got me teaching at 3 different high schools a day. And one of those high schools is like, well, 2 of them is kind of like online, and it's a 3 split. So I got 3 different grades in that one school, which is tricky doing that online. And then I teach Nipissing also, Nipissing University part-time. And wow. Yeah, that's what I do.
Bemwidood.
A lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but always working on stuff there.
So how did we meet? We'll go through that story.
Pretty much, but like I always saw you at ATEG, and like just kind of had my eyes on you.
Infamous Ozawa.
Yeah. Could see him at ATEG, and I recognized him and stuff. And my brother-in-law JP was like, "Oh, where's that Anishinaabe that does cross?" Yeah. So, I think where I yeah, and so I think where I really like took notice of you was when you were doing that MC there for ATAG or something. And I think I can't remember if you went to OOG before that, but I remember when you were there speaking. One of my friends was like, "Wow, he's a good speaker, but he's speaking slow. Can he read from a script or something to speed it up?" And I was like, "No, man, that's the point. He's improvising his speech. Like, let's see you do that right now. Let's see how slow you are." Yeah.
But that's how I
It was
speak English too. So
I didn't know you that well at the time, so I was like trying to defend you there.
yeah, and then I think we did a Anishinaabe. We did a presentation at the Nishinaabemwin conference, and then you would come up to us after, and I think that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Or that's when we first started talking, and then you were talking about OOG because we had gone to OOG by that point, and then you had gone to the weekend version of OOG over there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you guys let me into Eshke and couldn't get rid of me after.
I don't think that you and I met Bemwidood until I brought Zade to Anishinaabe that year. That's where I remember first seeing you, was during like the lunches and stuff when I went and I brought Zade. So, yep. And then, like you said, I just kept bumping into you after that.
I think I noticed you as well before that. Like I recognize you like as I was always partner and stuff. And so
yeah, so that's how all of our paths crossed. When and where did you have that spark that you wanted to learn Nishinaabemwin, or how did that come to be, or like where did your learning journey start?
So when I was about 5 years old, I think, me and I come from a family of 4, but at the time we were like 3. And so me and my 2 younger siblings, we were getting our Anishinaabe names. And my brother got his name, Anishinaabe name, Nimking Guanquet Thundercloud. And then my dad was like, "Cool." And then my sister Echo got her Anishinaabe name, Squimingua, like Red Butterfly Woman.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was like, "Cool." And then like Falcon Sky, his Anishinaabe name is Nishinaabemwin Bemwidood. And my dad's not a speaker, so he's like, "What?" And it was I call her my grandmother. Biologically, she's more like my great aunt, but she always had more of a grandmother type role in my life. And she's like, "Oh, that means his name's Keeper of the Language." And my dad was like, "Geez, what a way to put on a 5-year-old's shoulders." And so, like, I guess I tugged at my dad's like arm or something to get his attention. "Dad, what's my Anishinaabe name?" He's like, "Nishinaabemwin Bemwidood." "What does that mean?" "Keeper of the language. You got to learn it and stuff." I was like, "Okay, I got it." So when I was younger, I would harass my mom because she was the closest thing I had access to speaker wise. Because I think her first language was Ojibwe, but then she lost it. And so I figure she'd be a good place to start learning. She's from Chiging, and we're living in Nipissing and stuff. And eventually, after me bugging her, she finally gave in, and she would make all these language resources and teach us through that. And so she made all these animals, like these magnets, and she would put them on the fridge, and we'd learn the animals. And then we do numbers and stuff like that. I remember being young and being able to count to like 100 in Ojibwe. She made bingo games, classic, classic bingo games, like colors and shapes and stuff. And so we did that. She used
Just
to get,
at home?
yeah, just at home.
Oh, wow.
And she would make, or she would buy she'd buy prizes to help entice us. and she started teaching us phrases around the dinner table and stuff like that, and like just being like in a family of three, we're always trying to like outdo each other and stuff like that, and trying to show off how much Ojibwe we could speak to our mom. And one time, my sister Echo, she tries like I think one of us must have said something in Ojibwe and we got some praise from our parents, and Echo got all jealous and she tried to show off how good her Ojibwe was, and she wanted to tell like mom like I love you, and she goes, Mama, Zawama de Mama. I kind of like, I turned her and I go, what did you say? She's like, I said Zawama de Mama. I was like, you said butter, Mom? like when you put on toast? No, I meant to say I love you. And I was like, that's zogging. Yeah, and so it kind of stalled out from there for a bit. My mom, she's not a trained educator and stuff like that, and so she was doing the best she could with what she could think of and what she can make, and she was really creative and awesome that way. And then when it came to pick high schools, there was a few options. There was like French options, there was public school options, and then there was the dingy res high school all the bad kids went to, and it had Ojibwe language, and I absolutely hated French growing up. Like in elementary school, like I was the kid waving the indigenous flag and stuff like that. Like we have like indigenous clubs or whatever growing up, and I was always the one carrying the staff and the feather and like and that kind of stuff, and so I was just like really I just hated anything colonial. And so when it came to do French stuff, I didn't even bother studying. I would write my answers on the desk for the tests, and I would casually cover it there. Teacher let me pass. So I don't know if I got away with it or if he just let me do it. I was the top of my class, valedictorian, and everything. And I didn't like the idea of our high school being labeled the one for bad kids. And it had Ojibwe. So I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to learn Ojibwe. And I was going to go there for one semester and then transfer out to the public high school, get my Ojibwe language credit, and then play some football or something. I ended up staying all 4 years. Just loved it there. And I got to learn Ojibwe every year. I was the first student there to take advanced Ojibwe language courses there.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who was your teacher?
It was Muriel Sawyer Button, or B-Dog Twin Button there. She actually taught me in kindergarten first.
Wow.
And then at some point she left to be the principal at our secondary school. And then, she was there. And when it was my first year, and she was like, okay, we're going to teach you guys how to spell in Ojibwe. If anyone can get a spelling test perfect, I'll let you out early. And so I caught on to her tricks pretty quick, and I got us out early. And like it was like throughout the whole course, it was just like everything she'd say, like, oh, if you do this, if someone does this right, we'll get out early. And then eventually it was, oh, if someone gets this right, except Falcon, you get out early. And then eventually it was, okay, this is the deal. If someone else, shut up, Falcon, can do this, you'll get out early. And then, And then second year I took Ojibwe with her because she wanted to get me fluent. That's when Blair Bocage joined us at Nipissing, and she was just like, man, this guy's good at Ojibwe. Like his mouth is built to speak Ojibwe. He just had the accent and the intonation right away. And she, Falcon, you're going to tutor him, get him caught up. It shouldn't take long. And sure enough, it didn't. And so him and I kept going with language stuff and other kind of notable teachers in the area. Like that's where we first started meeting, was Muriel's class. Yeah. And then I went to Algoma University. Muriel had overprepared me for that one. Didn't really learn anything till about third year. and kind of maxing out with Muriel and then maxing out at Algoma. I was just like, damn, is this all? Is this all I need for Ojibwe? Like, I feel like I can't carry a conversation, but I'm topping out at all these programs. And then eventually, my brother-in-law, JP, Nishinaabemwin, he's like, dude, I heard about this immersion camp in Minnesota. Like, freak, they're the real deal, man. Like, they're awesome. Like, I thought I was all that too. And then I go there, and it's like, frig, man, I don't know anything. And so he brought me my first year to OOG, and then like, yeah, got humbled right away. I remember seeing like Manido Maingun walk in, and he wasn't a student. Like, he just kind of showed up one morning, and I was like, "Freak, man, check out this Jognosh coming in here, dude. Like, he owns the place." And I was like, just kind of measuring him up there, and then speakers, elders start talking, and then he starts cracking jokes in Ojibwe. And I was like, holy freak, I don't know anything. Yeah, and so there was it was a lot of learning happened there for me, and a lot of doors opened up for me to understand what I needed to know and stuff like that, and how I could elicit that kind of learning. And then meeting Winnegago and everything was awesome.
Were you when you were there, were you tired too, like after the day?
Yeah. The first time I went, I was I don't usually nap, but those that first kind of like that first time going,
Yeah.
I did feel really tired, like on the verge of napping, but I never napped. But like, I felt so physically tired, like from all the brain work you're
Yeah.
like doing and stuff in immersion. Yeah, I haven't been like that since, but yeah, it was quite the experience. And then getting your fluency evaluated by Megazith, that was a real humbling experience.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like Muriel had a goal of getting me to fluent. And when I went to OOG, Megazith evaluated our speaking abilities. Like, it said low level fluency on it. I think it was just bare minimum on there. And like, I was super proud of that. I was like, frig, Muriel, you did it. Like,
Aw.
wasn't proficient, like super high proficient, but it was just like, I had no idea that there was a scale that could be evaluated. And it was just like, I was like, there it is. And then there I am. So yeah, I was so happy, proud, and humbled. And
So that was the weekend one?
yeah, I did that one twice.
So that was like was it 1 weekend a month for 6 months or
something
8?
like that.
Yeah.
No, it was 6 months. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, so you just like would you travel there? Was it on? Yeah, you traveled there for the weekend?
Oh yeah, I forgot to say at the time, when I traveled there to the weekend, I was living in Thunder Bay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so it was like a 4 hour drive.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah, so it was 4 hour drive. Wasn't too bad. I tried going to I applied for the summer one for like the 3 week thing. I didn't get in. I assume it was just like they had others that they felt that needed the help more or something. And so I didn't get in. Never applied again. Just because life wise, I kind of moved back to Nipissing. I was in Thunder Bay, and so it's kind of hard to travel like 14, 15 hours away for that. Luckily, Eshke was freaking rolling around there in Sudbury, which is an hour away, and so went to Sudbury once. I think that was like my first year teaching here in Nipissing. Like, Eshke was there. I was like, oh dang, let's go to Eshke. So applied there and got in, just barely.
And then that was kind of, I guess that kind of helped you with the Odawa version, I guess, of speaking that dialect, I guess.
Yeah.
Hearing speakers, like trying to listen to speakers from Wiki is like one of the hardest things.
Yeah, it was hard, but like
Go
my
ahead.
favorite part of Eshke was Albert Owl, because like I remember being at Eshke and like thinking, frig man, I don't know anything. And like Albert would be telling a story, and in the language he'd be asking, so what do you understand? What do you remember from the story? And I'd be like, nothing. Nothing. And then he was really supportive and stuff like that. He'd probe and prod at you there a little bit, and then like he'd show you that you actually know more and you understood more than you think you did and stuff like that. And so that was really uplifting. And because like I remember there was like one time where like I was just like, freak, I just can't remember anything. And he's like, well, do you remember this character? I was like, well, yeah. And then he's like, well, then what happened with that character? And I was like, oh, well, this happened, this happened. And eventually, like, they were just like, yeah, that's pretty much the whole story. I was like,
So I think like since then, when was that? 2017, 2018?
yeah, something like that.
Or what have you been doing?
Um,
Like other than teaching, like for your own learning, I guess.
oh, for my own learning, bugging you guys. Little private lessons there. And one gobble. Like there was times where I was almost messaging him like every day. But for myself, the way I saw Oog organized, like when we got there, they'd give you a list of survival phrases, but they also gave you the paradigms for the VTAs. And then going to Eshke and seeing that same kind of setup, I started applying that kind of stuff in Nipissing and realizing that it didn't quite work. There was some friction with the speakers, and they're just like, no, that's not how you say it, or no, no, no. Since I've been living in Nipissing, I've been taking all that kind of like that skeletal framework and filling it with the body of Nipissing vocabulary and the way Nipissing does their stuff. And some of their stuff is pretty weird. I don't know. I don't know how many people claim that their dialect is like a weird one or a monkey wrench one, but like freak, like ours got some weird stuff. And I remember showing the Winnegobo some stuff, and he'd be like, "Dang, you guys are weird." Yeah. So for my own learning, I've just been taking that kind of stuff that you guys would give us at immersion camp, learning the Nipsing version of that, and then also too like making my language resources for my classes and stuff make things more accessible and easier to do. And it just seems like for language learning, there's a certain pedagogy of having a dictionary, but also as well as like linguistic materials that kind of like work well together, kind of doing your own learning and practices through that. And then so really making that stuff in Nipissing dialect for my students, and then having them learn how to use those materials and do all that so that they have the skills to do that if they go somewhere else, and they have.
Wow.
Nice.
How are you finding your high school classes?
Grade nines are a bit hit and misses. Really proud of some of them. Like it's surprising how high you can set the bar for them, how far they can go and reach things. It's just some of them, they like, once you have the class structured a certain way and organized, and they know how to navigate it, then they're able to really progress really well. And like for my students, we have a grammar lesson at one point, and then I give a worksheet based on that grammar lesson, and then the marked assignment is them listening to audio of me speaking Ojibwe, and then they got to transcribe it and translate it. And then that's all related to that same lesson we did. And then all of my lessons are kind of scaffolded, so they kind of build off each other.
Mhm.
And so by the end, they're able to express like theoretically with the use of the dictionary and all their notes and from our grammar lessons, they're able to express like hundreds of thousands of things, if not more. They're able to navigate that stuff, and it's really rewarding to see them do that and do well. I have one student in particular this semester who is like showing up my university students, and he's like a grade 10.
Holy,
And like
wow.
I give the university stuff the same stuff as the high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to inject some humor and stuff and like
Yeah.
to poke fun at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And this one student, he was listening to my audio, and it said something like "Mama gi deo kwed de bikong," and then he was listening to me, and he goes, "Mom had a headache last night. Frick, Mr. McLeod, she must have been listening to your YouTube videos." And so it's just stuff like that. Like they're able to like hear it in being spoken, and then kind of understand it and respond, not in Ojibwe, but like, yeah, it was just,
Comprehend it, yeah.
I was, I was really impressed, and I was really happy, and yeah, I'm just surprised. Like they're really flexible. They're a lot more flexible than I thought they'd be in terms of like where you could set the bar.
I was just curious. Yeah, just because I'm teaching high school now too, and I don't know if I should be, but there's a demand. So I was just curious for my own interest on like, yeah, hearing some of your methods and pedagogies and approach. And yeah, I think I called you on like the second day. So yeah, it's just kind of cool to hear more now that I'm in a different spot.
Yeah, I remember feeling like that too. And every now and then you get that imposter syndrome. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I shouldn't be here. But yeah, happy to hear you stuck it out.
I really like this. I have a really good group right now. Really, really good. And they're being able to take them as far as I've been able to take any group at this semester and this year. But I have 9 to 12 in one room, and a whole variety. So, but yeah, I was just kind of curious, yeah, before we head into the material, to kind of hear a little bit more about your teaching journey as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you like when did you always think that you're gonna have kids and that you're gonna speak to them in Nishinaabemwin, or was there a point when you were like you thought about, okay, yeah, I do want to have kids and I want to speak to them?
I always knew I wanted to be a dad. I always knew that. It just never crossed my mind that I'd be doing it speaking Ojibwe. I think when I saw you guys with Zadai, and I was like, Craig, and then like Rochelle with her kids and stuff. And like I remember being at ATAG when Rochelle, I think, presented the first time, and just seeing her like kind of like emotionally break down when she took her son to get that to win an evaluation, and they're like, he's scoring lower than he should be for his age. And they kept going, and then like they're like, what's wrong? And then they're like, oh, maybe he speaks a different language. And then once they like changed the language, he was scoring where he should be for his age. And then just like that sense of relief she had or whatever, or not relief, but like that it's working. And so that was really heart touching. Being there for when she told that story, and then yeah, seeing you guys with Sada, and it's like, Frig, like, gotta do it now. Freaking, they set the bar. Yeah. Hearing stories about Jessica and her boys now and stuff like that too. Yeah, and it's like a weird snowball with my son Shkadanich there, because like right now it's at this point where I look at him and I can't even speak English even if I wanted to. It's just like he just triggers like Ojibwe in me, and I kind of thought it was just in my head, like I was just making up, I was just being romantic or something. It's like recently I took him to the park. We were both at the top of the park. He was walking by a gap where there was a ladder and stuff, and we were 2 stories high. And he he started stumbling by this gap, like towards it, like he was gonna fall through it. And I was so scared I wasn't gonna catch him. And instead of yelling at him like watch out, or like grab on, like out of reflex, I yelled on Guamzin. He ended up catching his balance and then kind of like walking away from that spot. But like it was just, yeah, it was kind of surreal just to think that as a parent, like you're gonna protect them with what you know best. And in that moment where I thought he was gonna fall and hurt himself, like 3.5-year-old, like falling down that, I was really scared, and the Ojibwe came out of me.
Yeah,
And so like
that's awesome.
just felt like I could probably, like, I don't know if I can stop yet if I wanted to. So not that I'm a really proficient speaker, but just doing it all the time with them now.
Yeah, it's awesome. So now that you've started this parent journey of speaking, and what are some of the challenges I've come across?
Like with language learning, you don't know what you don't know. And so like when we do immersion, we start learning our gaps in our knowledge to be able to tell someone like, get out of there, you know. Like it's just different levels of like being proficient. Like you could say like Ma John or something. Speakers will like, they're, to replicate them, they wouldn't say really that. Maybe more like in good John. And me as a language learner going, that makes no sense. Go somewhere? Like, how does that mean get out of here? Like, they're like, it just does. So just kind of finding those gaps and working your way around it, you know, asking speakers and stuff like that.
And it's so unpredictable, like when you're in the moment with a child, and it's like, how do I say that? Like they're playing like Legos or something and they're trying to build something. You're like, how do I say like it's gonna fall apart? Like, how do I say that? Like something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to say it's falling apart. Talk about him breaking it or something, or it falling. But yeah. Those nuances are hard to get in the moment and stuff like that. And when you don't know it, you don't know it. So gotta make do with what you have.
Yeah. So do you have any like strategies that you'd use like to get around that? Like if you're wanting to speak about something like that, like do you make up words on the spot? Do you talk around it, or do you just like to go to the next thing? Like what would
Yes.
all of the above?
Yeah. Like
yeah.
No, I'll get to that later. But yeah, I'll make up words like telling my son to have a good sleep. I would do what you would think you would say, like non ba, and then start talking to a speaker and stuff, and learn that like guame is like the root word for sleeping, and then your adjective, like kind of like that initial root, is where you describe how the sleep is. And so transitioning later to non guamin, like have a good sleep and stuff like that. So making up words and getting corrected on them, talking around stuff too. Like I said earlier, like I don't know how to say it falls apart, but
yeah,
I can talk about him maybe hitting it and then like it falling and then it's broken or whatever, or he broke it and stuff like that. But yeah, I think one of the what I feel like one of the main things I kind of do is give myself permission to take a step back and to just let something happen, and to not say anything if I don't know how to say it in Ojibwe. My son's 3.5 years old. I don't know of any 3-year-old that needs to be told something once and they understand it. And so like I remember when a Gabo telling a story at ATEG, and he was talking about a certain age level for when it's possible to become highly proficient in a language. And I think he said it was somewhere around 15 or 16, because there was some sort of brothers in the States that moved to the States from somewhere. I forget where, but they're like, if I told the names to my parents, they'd recognize them. And he said that, like, for that example, one was older than 16 when they first came, the other one was under 16. But when they got older, the one that was older than 16 still had their like their native accent when they spoke English. But the other one was like
what?
I'm just so awesome, I guess.
Wait, that just really whoa.
No, when
Did
you
I dream
wave
that?
stuff. No, when you wave and stuff on the screen,
Yeah.
things will pop up.
I didn't even know that. But yeah,
It's like
anyway.
Okay, sorry. For the non-seers, Nishinaabemwin Bemwidood is holding up his two fingers, and all of a sudden a bunch of balloons rose to the out of the depths of I don't know where up to the sky. That's kind of thought I was having a fever dream. Here we go.
I thought I was getting encouragement from the speech. Like, yeah, you got it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the one that was older than 16 when they grew up, they still had their like accent from their country, and the other one that was under 16, when they spoke English, you couldn't tell that they were from another country. And so that lends to the theory that there's something in that age range. And so that just kind of brings me comfort that if I don't know something right now, like I have until he's about 15, 16 years old to really try and get that figured out by then. And so do my own research and pester speakers where I can, and message Ozawa. Yeah. And so that's kind of like one of my main things is letting stuff happen and then taking note of it and then trying to capitalize it for when it happens again. Knowing Shkodanage, it's going to happen again. And then that's when I'm ready.
That's really helpful, honestly, for me to hear. Like that actually just put me a little bit more at ease because, yeah, I'm like, there's so much that there's so much that I don't know. And yeah, it's a totally different dynamic when I'm asking Ozawa, because and what he says back to me or doesn't say. Kazagan, Ozalmade, babe.
Echo's gonna kill me for
coining her term.
Yeah, she's a good sport about it though. She tries to say Tishkodanian just like a family joke and stuff
That
like
is
that.
so sweet. Yeah,
And they do that at the house and stuff.
So he gets to hear from some of your family too. Then who speak to him. A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. My mom is probably like, she doesn't speak as much Ojibwe as I do and can, but she tries where she can and she sees what I do and how much work I put into it. And so she tries her best, and then she'll nudge my dad and like, freak, you know how to say it in Ojibwe. And so he's not a speaker. And so he's come to the age where he's accepted that he's never going to be a speaker. And so he's just not too sure. Like he knows like he can't produce speakers, so he'll just share what he can when he can. And then my sister tries doing stuff. My brother-in-law JP, who's a language teacher as well at Algoma University, him and his partner messaged me. They're like, "Oh, if we had Shkodanage for babysitting, what are some phrases that he knows that he responds to in Ojibwe?" And this was really helpful for me at the time, because at the time I was like, "Oh man, my son doesn't he's not picking up Ojibwe. Like he doesn't there's so much to Ojibwe he doesn't know and stuff." And then I go to respond to this text message, and freaking I listed out a big book of a text message of all these phrases and words he definitely knew and recognized. And it was just like, holy, he does know quite a bit. And then I was forgetting words, so I was adding to it even more. So yeah. So he his grandmother on his mom's side is also a language teacher. She does her best with what she can. My partner Marie, she tries to speak Ojibwe with him. She's bilingual, like French and English, so she can pick up some language stuff easier than I can. I was monolingual for the longest time, and then if I can claim a second language, it might be Ojibwe, but depending on how you want to label that with the lack of proficiency and stuff like that. I remember one time I was talking to Marie, and she was just like, she's a very gentle person when she talks about things. And she's just like, I mean this in the most gentle way, but I think my French, even though it's taking a real hit since being with you, I think my French is still better than your Ojibwe. And I was just like, hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, so part of that too, you're talking about some of the unexpected positive impacts. And I think you're saying like it gets your family to start speaking more, kind of pushing themselves.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Also too, because we're talking about positive impacts of it. My son goes to daycare off reserve. Our friends, who we think very highly of, they were like, oh, you gotta take your kid to this daycare and try and get him in. This one lady here, Cindy Willette, there, she's amazing. And so I was like, yeah, sure. We go, and Cindy goes, like, she's a white lady who can speak some French. She goes, okay, so yeah, we'll get an interview. What's your son's name? Shkodaninj. She's like, say it again. And I was like, Shkodaninj. And she eventually learned it, well, pretty quick. Like, especially when you have to like yell at him to do stuff. Like, you're gonna learn that their names pretty quick. Um, but yeah, and she started realizing that sometimes he responds better if Ojibwe is speaking. And so she would text me, like, what could how would I say this? How would I say that? And so she starts incorporating into daycare. And like, she starts incorporating like all their kind of like seasonal stuff. Like, she would get me to translate stuff, and then she would make things in Ojibwe there so like it's trilingual, like English, Ojibwe, French, and then like we have this kind of routine when we pick up Shkodaninj, he says Balmalp, and they all say Balmalp, and get him to say Gazognim and stuff, and they
Nice.
say like they're speaking Ojibwe, and we're getting stories from other parents like like the kids telling their grandparents Balmalp, and their parents are like, what'd you say to me? And then from that, other families are like, oh, we hear this one daycare here is good for indigenous kids. And so I recently heard about a family going like, yeah, we heard so and so's kids and Shkodaninj go here, so like, yeah, we heard good things about this one. So our daycare workers like going, wow, like, thanks for the positive reviews. And it's like, I remember almost breaking down at one point. I was like, frig, you welcomed our son into your home because it's a home daycare. Like, you learned his name. Like, you started incorporating his heritage language. Like, I never asked you to do any of that. You did that on your own. Pretty touching and emotional. And just to see that happen and to have that happen
Yeah,
I super appreciated it.
yeah, just unexpected to have like a non-indigenous environment or place start using it,
And then
where it's
seeing it branch
probably
out to the other children to the point that it's like, okay, they're absorbing, so it's obviously happening. Like, it's powerful for your son to be able to have that environment, right? To kind of ingrain or influence it even more, or to motivate or to be normalized even more. Like, that's pretty powerful.
I remember having a talk with our daycare worker about preschool or elementary school. And she was like, Shkodaninj, he's really good with Ojibwe. He's really good with English. He's picking up French really well. Like, you should seriously think about having him at a French school. And at the time, like, well, I still struggle with kind of like white people anxiety. Like, anytime I'm just like in an area, like an institution that's just colonial, like the French schools and stuff, like I get real anxiety when I walk in there. And I remember talking to her. I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I invested so much time and effort into the English school there, like with bullying, with long hair and stuff. Like, I went through a lot there. Now, like, I know that if my son goes there, he's not going to have the same experiences I did. But at a French school, I don't know if those kids have that same exposure. And she meant this in the best way possible, but she was just like, yeah, maybe Shkodaninj could be that exposure for them. In my mind, I'm really holding back my parent instinct, and it's like, well, why does my son have to be that? Like, white people, learn this stuff on your own, But again, like the parents that first hooked us up with that daycare, their kids go to a French school, and one of their kids is a boy with long hair, and I messaged them and I was like, how's your little guy with that school? Is there bullying? Because I'm going to come if there's bullying. And he was just like, no, there's like, I've been there a few times. I've talked to the school and stuff, but like, no, there's been no bullying. There's a few Indigenous kids already there. And I was like, oh, okay, well then maybe it is a non-issue to have Shkodenich there. And then also too, worst thing that could happen is we take him out and put him in the English school.
It's definitely a hard decision, just being a parent in general and being Indigenous and non-Indigenous environments. So hopefully, there's some non-Indigenous people that listen to this and can kind of pick up on that. And
Tell all my colleagues there at Near North about this podcast. Be like, yeah, I'm on it. Listen to it for your Indigenous Studies class there.
Yeah.
Some good relationship discussions.
Yeah. All right.
It's all your curriculum expectations.
Do you have what's your advice for parents who are thinking about doing this, raising their kids in the language? Maybe they feel like they're not quite proficient yet, or they're just learning, they're just starting their language journey, or they're just ready to have kids. What's your advice to them?
I guess it's just to really give yourself the permission to learn as you go, and to not have to respond to things. Because like for me, my partner, she speaks English to our son, and so like he's exposed to so much English and stuff. Like it's his first language, definitely. But like she can talk to some things for him, and I eventually intend to talk to those things for him when I'm able to. But yeah, give yourself permission to not react to things right away, to take note of it and go, oh, this is a learning opportunity for me for the next time, and to capitalize on that, and to give yourself permission to not quite get it that second time, but like maybe make it better the third time, and maybe get it the fourth time. Like there's time, to capitalize on that kind of stuff. I remember again, like with my brother-in-law, he was my best friend. Well, still is, but like I've known him longer than my partner. And so I remember once, which could end when he was real small, I was just like, freak, man, like I was down on myself. I forget what I was saying, but he was like, like, yeah, you're not like a proficient native speaker, but like compare the exposure Shkodenich has had right now to what you had as a kid, and like at that age. And I was just like, yep, there's definitely a lot more. There are things I could do better.
Perspective,
like, yeah, like, but again, there's just that mental health aspect too that I just can't do because I need to take care of myself. Like Shkodenich hasn't really been with native speakers, like those who are first speakers yet. And it's just because he was born during COVID, so didn't want to expose anyone. But like even now, it's just like, freak, man, I'm tired from like doing all the work I do.
Yeah.
And then coming home and doing my parenting stuff, and then interacting with Shkodenich, and it's like, you know what, like he's got a bedtime, we got to keep on schedule. So haven't taken to visit with speakers as much as I think I should. Yeah, it's something we can hopefully work on later.
Yeah, definitely. That's the juggling act of, us being learners, but also teachers of the language, and that responsibility in itself. And then now we're raising kids. There's like all of this. And I don't think people really understand, how much work that is. and how much brain power that takes to do all of that.
Not only that, but like the emotional stuff too. Cause like I remember when I was younger, like I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a father. I wanted to impart all my favorite interests and stuff like that into my kids and have them like grow up with those same things and stuff like that. Like I can only talk so much about Batman and Ojibwe.
Yeah.
Like I remember reading the Harry Potter books and enjoying them as a kid, but like I don't know how to say some of that stuff in Ojibwe, and so it's just like you're kind of like putting that stuff away, and you're just like, this
Yeah.
is what I can give my son or my child, and he's not getting it anywhere else. Like he can watch Batman or something or Hot Wheels, but like he can't get the Ojibwe stuff, and so there's that connection that him and I don't necessarily have that I thought we would, and that's just something I just never realized. Like I think I remember Rochelle talking about, I think, wanting to read Harry Potter books to her kids, and it's like, well, they're not an Ojibwe, so we're not doing that. Those are kind of dreams that we have as parents before we're parents to do with our kids, to have those Kodak moments or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you have to sacrifice a lot all the time because like either you don't have time or you don't have the access or you don't have the ability to switch it up. When I was in immersion at UG, and actually when I was learning the German when I was living in Austria, I get like headaches, like 24-hour 7 headaches because you're in a different language and you're learning it and whatever. And like I experienced that just in our household, just like, which is something you don't like, you don't think you're gonna, oh, okay, I'm gonna raise my kids with a 24 hours from like being trying to like consistently do every single thing. And like also like, and then you have English people listening or English people talking to you, and you're like trying to stay in the language with the one, but also like you're in the same room as other people. Like we just came from like a birthday party and we're like trying to like speak to the kids in the language. And also like, I'm not using this tone because I'm a mean mom. I'm just using this tone because I'm trying to sound as much like a speaker as possible. So, you know what I mean? I'm like, might have been no, or whatever, right? And it's just really nice for me to be able to hear your experiences. Because yeah, like we're very hard on ourselves. And also like again, it's like another thing added when you feel like you're not seen by other parents because you can't explain like walking in two worlds, being a teacher, walking in another two worlds, than like raising kids. Like, I don't know if you experience that or feel like that or not, but I feel like it's like you're trying to navigate like 8 different. No, it's just me.
oh, I get super fixated at work.
Yeah.
Like I'm the the language guy because like, oh, I'm in the language department, to be honest. And so like that is my main focus, and like that's where a lot of my effort gets put towards. And so when people are talking about like indigenous issues, like the more social aspects, they don't really come to me all that much. um they may come every once in a while, but mostly they know like I'm the language guy, and they don't really kind of like talk to me. And so like one of my classrooms, well, the classroom that I'm in the whole day, it's got no windows, and it's kind of like hidden away, um, and it's like I'm just in there like working. Like when it comes to uh, my prep period, if I'm not marking assignments, I'm either researching stuff for lessons or making materials and stuff like that. So I'm like just like fixated on language stuff. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and early and just be working on stuff just because like I I feel like I have to. And so like I like in terms of walking in two worlds, like I don't really know if I um feel that way just because I'm just so uber fixated on stuff. Like my partner Marie is just surprised sometimes because like we'll be sitting there watching a TV show and I might be there for like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, time to do some audio transcriptions and translation. See ya. And she's just like, frig, man, like, can't you just like sit down and rest? Like, nope, there's a language that needs to be revitalized. I need to go do that.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I just mean, yeah, like trying to always bring it into this, like when like I go to a school and it's a colonial space, right? And I'm around all non-native people, and like, similar to you, um, being that I'm the only one on the whole board teaching. And so again, yeah, I just kind of meant like just having to navigate always like bringing it in and revitalizing.
Like, I
Yeah.
hear my colleagues struggle with that kind of stuff. Like, we just had a mental health PD session and like talking about some of those struggles. And like, I was just talking like, frig, man, like, I feel so sheltered because of like our team here, like we have our team leaders who structure my classes in this kind of way where I have these co-teachers I work with, and so like I have my like our leads kind of like covering my back, and I've got like our co-teachers here that I'm working really that are doing really well with, and like they're covering from different angles and stuff, and so there was a lot of talk about navigating different things with colonial people and stuff like that. And I was just like, no, I don't got any of that right now. Like, I have my own issues, but like just it's like it's like for me the way my classes and stuff and is structured, it's I feel very sheltered and stuff like that. And usually in language classes you'll have people who come from an indigenous studies background go into a language class and then turn it into an indigenous studies class.
Yeah.
And for me, when I first started, like I had to teach both indigenous studies and language. And then
Jeez.
sorry, the fireworks, man.
So firework just came up on the screen. So
Yeah.
for the listeners.
I need a list of these hand gestures to stop doing them.
It is too awesome.
Yeah. But what was I saying there?
That you were doing indigenous, you're
Oh,
having to do
Teaching.
indigenous and language at the same time. Yeah.
yeah, and then my leads were like, so you had your first year of teaching. How do you feel about it? I was like, frig, if I could just get language classes, like that would be the bomb, you know? And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, if you could just hook me up with language classes all day, like friggin' that's my comfort zone. And then they did. And like I have positives and negatives to commuting and not commuting and stuff, but like still like to not have, or like other teachers, they don't know what they're teaching like year to year, like they have to figure that out on the fly and stuff. And for me it's like, no, I'm teaching language all the freaking time, and that is my comfort area, and I'm so appreciative of it.
Shin. I want to come to you more often. But is there anything else that like you maybe not just even for parents but for people learning direction, or like I said, resources or tips that you would suggest, or what helps other people learn to speak? Loaded question. Probably tons, but
um
you pick one.
Oog. I'd have
Yeah.
to say oog. Like, I'm diehard Nipissing, like we're vowel syncopators and stuff too, but just to be exposed to the language in its like fullest form, the way they have it, and to learn the structure, it's so much more easier to do it that way. And I've seen teachers in this area try and teach stuff from a Nipissing kind of perspective without that knowledge, and it's convoluted and overcomplicated. But if you know like the full versions of words and stuff and the grammar that goes along with that, then it's like, oh, okay, this like vowel dropping or syncopation is really
I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt you. This is a friend who would be like, yes, behind me. we're like learning together, and she's like unsyncopated, and I'm syncopated, and she's just like, I don't understand. Like, it's so much harder the way you're trying to teach it. And anyway, she would just be like, yes, then would do like exactly. She's gonna rip me up when she hears this.
Cut it. No, just kidding.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. The oog has like a really vast way of expressing and structuring.
Like just having that knowledge of like the full versions of the words and then knowing how to vowel drop afterwards. And just that exposure to how linguistics can assist you with your speaking and fill in those gaps and stuff like that. Like you basically do the Anishinaabe model, steal from oog. And so yeah, that's probably my main, like the top thing I would say. Like I remember some people telling me like, oh, what immersion camp or what language thing do you think I should do? And it's like, ooh, go to freaking oog. And there are some people who I don't think can make the trip, and then when that happens I go to Eshke. Never mind that, go to Eshke. And so like like I have Rand's blue book, his big blue book there, and not being able to make heads or tails of what was going on there. But once I went to Oog, and then like lessons with the Wanagabo and stuff like that, and how that can be incorporated into your speech and stuff, it's like, oh, okay, I get this now. And so like once you're able to go there and get some guidance, then you're able to kind of piece things together, and then you can do it in your home dialect and stuff like that. And dialect guys, you're speaking there.
Yeah, I think out out west there, Minnesota, Wisconsin, they have more of a like a spelling or writing standard that everyone kind of follows. In Ontario, we don't really have that. I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I think that was really helpful, seeing that standardized, kind of like pretty close, like 99%, like a standardized writing system and grammar rules that they follow. And then that helps. Yeah. Like you said, like going back here and then teaching syncopated style, you have that better understanding of why words change and all that. But yeah. So like, even if I know, like, I don't know how many people would do it, but like Minnesota, University of Minnesota, they offer like the online option for people to take their course. I don't know all the details, but
Yeah, I think I heard
enrolling
it's like,
and all that.
I think I heard it's not a full, like if you do it online, it's not like a fully accredited, I don't know, diploma you get afterwards. Frig man, like having that kind of like, because like when I first went to Oog, like at this point I was 20 something, learning since I was 5 years old, and then it's like thinking I'm impressive or something, Ojibwe.
Mhm.
And then going there and meeting some of Winnebago students, and like, freak man, you're like 3 times the speaker I am. How long have you been doing this for? Oh, just 3 years. It's like, that's you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I noticed that like their adult teaching pedagogy was like, I don't know, I want to say they're like 10 years ahead of like Ontario, I guess, in terms of like teaching adults and teaching post-secondary, and just the style that they use and all of that. I think we're catching up.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we're catching up to a certain degree, and we're kind of reorienting the echo chamber we're in. The more we have more like-minded individuals kind of saying stuff, like the more people are catching on. Like I do notice that shift, because I'm not going to say who, but I know some people that when I first came back from Oog and Eshke, be like, yeah, man, like linguistics. And they'd just be like, nah, man, that's not how our speakers are. That's colonial. And now you have like Eshke, like you guys, like these podcasts. We have like people like Ninatig, and like all these like-minded individuals, and my brother-in-law kind of
Mhm. Yeah.
like kind of educating people and stuff at Algoma and like at Georgian College and stuff. You can see things change. Like it's starting to catch on.
Mhm.
Those same people I would talk to about grammar and linguistics, now they're going, oh, okay, yeah, and like I've heard these terms now, so like I'm comfortable with you talking about them. Whereas
Mhm.
before they were just like C form, no, like
Yeah.
that. Don't come to me with that. And now
Yeah.
it's just like, oh yeah, like I know C form, like yeah, and Tig talked about it, or so and so talked about it, and so it's just
Mhm.
that echo chamber slowly changing.
Yeah, for sure. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll start wrapping up. I don't know if you do you want to add anything? Shko Gabut.
Me? Oh, no, I was just thinking about that whole because you hear it's nonstop hear that, oh, that's colonial, I shouldn't be writing the language down. And I'm like, show me the speakers then. Like I'm like at least like when I teach, I'm like yeah, I like to do the fun stuff. I like to do like the easy go like not easy going, but like the games and the the whatever pieces. But I'm like, but I want these guys to start speaking, which means that yeah, we're gonna do a lot of grammar. Like we're gonna do a lot of like stuff. Like I don't know how like I'm not just here to like, I actually want them to take what I have and keep going with it or be inspired enough to keep moving with it. So that's where I was in my head in that moment. No, I was actually gonna ask if you had any awesome stories about parenting or any hilarious stories about parenting or anything or any jokes that you made up in the language.
Oh, I'm not that good to make up jokes in the language yet. I got some stories. I just need to. My mom posted a story there, tagged me in it on social media, so I'm trying to find that there. Yeah, Shkodaninj there. Our little Shkodaninj likes to joke. We're still in potty training mode, so lately his jokes have all been poop related. Dad says to him, Gazogin. Shkodaninj responds back, Gazogin poop. His dad says, Gemetsnin. Shkodaninj, Gemetsnin poop. And then his dad calls out to him, Bama P. Shkodaninj waves at him and calls out, Bama poop. Yeah, he's a real jokester like that.
Aw.
Maybe that one viral video we did there. It was almost viral, I guess. But oh yeah, this is a practice that Rochelle talked to me about, and this is something that parents can do and stuff too. Is storytelling to their kids. Now this sounds like holy freak, like I'm not ready to do storytelling, but like start out small. Noun does this, noun does that, noun does this, noun does that, and then from there, it's like a muscle. Like the more you work it, the more you can do complicated stuff later. Sometimes when I pick up Shkodaninj, there's that 15-minute block where it's just me and him. And so I improvise a story while I'm driving Shkodaninj home. And so he at least has that time block of Ojibwe. And I start off telling stories about a bear waking up from hibernation, going out and looking for something to eat and stuff like that. So there's my time block with him. And I remember one time his daycare worker was mentioning how he knows his animal noises really well. And I was like, on the drive home, I was like, Shkodanin. She's like, on the Dushin talks it out, Gokush. And he goes, oink, oink, oink. And I was like, the heck, man? Like, he actually understood that. Shkodanin, on the Dushin talks it out. English. Woof, woof, woof. And I was like, holy free. And so we got home and I pulled out my camera and I recorded him and I went through all these there. He knew them all and stuff. He could respond. And then like at the end there, I stopped recording and I said Bama P or something, and I hit stop, and then he's like Bama P. I was like, oh dang, I missed that. And so I fired up my camera again and then got him saying it and edited in the video there. But like people really liked it and stuff, and I was really proud of Shkodaninj and stuff like that. And we got uh we got a new baby due in July and stuff, and so
Well,
um
congrats.
What?
yeah,
I'm trying to get the balloons and the fireworks to go off. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Like, how did you get that? How did you get that to go? Like, you were like,
Just talent, I guess. So. Got the name there. Came in a vision and stuff like that there. So, like Shkuda Ninjas did. And so, no, it was a little different. This new one is more organic. I had to go out and get Shkuda Ninjas, but this one came to me. Yeah, Shkuda Ninja, he knows their name and he says it really well, which is encouraging. Yeah, and so talks about them and stuff like that. Yeah, and I remember again Rochelle saying like, yeah, once you have more than one, like you got to step up your language game because there's all those extra VTAs you've been avoiding the plural to singular and plural to plural and stuff. And I was like, oh dang, you're right. So that'll be my next step there. And I think for me too, also too, just for my own speaking and stuff and just for Shkudan's exposure. I'm the only one who speaks Ojibwe to him, like on a regular basis. I speak English to Marie and stuff, and so I'm gonna be slowly working towards speaking Ojibwe to her as well. She's fine with that, which is awesome, and I really appreciate that. But it's just it doesn't have the Marie because I've been speaking with English for her for so long. It's not the same as Shkudan, so gotta reorient things there for when I speak with her and stuff, and so that'll be probably one of my next steps there.
Nice. It's awesome. I was just going to say too, it definitely makes you have to step up your game and remember all of those different VTAs, ovitive. Just a quick story. I told my son, my daughter's with your mom. When you say that, you say, Ouija one, gush one. You have to like obviate, even though it's his mother, but then he's like gush one. Because we always say Gusha for mother, and then he's like Gush one, and then I think sometime later on he asked Emmeline, "Are you Gush one?" And she's like, "Yeah, yep." And he asked me too. He's like, "Is Gusha and Gush one the same?" And I was like, "Yep." Like, you can't explain like what alveolative is, so
it was like when you were talking about, like I was saying, like we'd say on Bazanan, like you're walking Bazan, the dog. And then Zada's like, we'd say ma. What are you talking about? Like she was hearing Sama instead of like we'd say mun. She's like, Sama, what about Bazan and Sama? He was putting and she's like going on and on. So
that reminded me of a story which could hinge was I was working on something in the kitchen, like on the laptop, and I love tickling Shkudanich. Love giving him raspberries on his stomach and stuff like that. He loves teasing me and stuff. And so he comes by and he pulls up his shirt and he says, Meechin and Thompson. And like eat my belly and stuff. And I was like, I don't have any recollection of teaching him how to command that. I know I've told him to like eat his food. And I told him the word for like my stomach, but I never told him like that exact combination. I don't think. I can't remember. And so like when that happened, I kind of like caught myself off guard. I put my computer away and then I went and tickled him up and stuff and like played with him. And so I was really happy about that. Don't have met much of the stories of some of the complicated language stuff other parents have, like Shkudanich doesn't ask about oviative.
Yeah, I'm one. Like, what do you mean you're telling him about ovulatives? Like, I just remember you saying. I just remember
no,
him
he
asking,
wasn't.
like,
No, I said like he asked, Pish Sada, like where's Sada? And then I said, oh, Ouija one, Gush one. And he's like, Gush one.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't.
Shkudanich, he doesn't like catch stuff like that and question it. Like if he doesn't understand something, it'll just kind of like whiz by him and whatever. But he's just not at that point. And I remember hearing stories about Rochelle's kids and was like, oh, Shkudanich, he's not that good. Or I was just in a meeting with someone who knows Jessica and her boys and stuff, and Bidosika is just he's getting to the point where like Jessica's like he's at Jessica's level or something in speaking, and she's struggling, so she's giving him the speakers and stuff like that to help him get better. And I'm just like, oh, Shkudanage isn't like that there. And I think I was talking to Zagate Queter and Bosky there, and she was just like, yeah, my boy Sinise, he's pretty similar to Shkudanage. I don't think he's gonna be a speaker, but he'll be a pretty good language learner. And it's just like, it's like, you know what? That's pretty awesome still, you know? Like maybe I can't raise a speaker, but maybe he'll get good enough to raise a speaker and stuff like that. And so
Yeah, that was up to go and meet with Wendam.
Yeah, I think that was awesome.
I think there's a ton that people would really learn from or take from or be able to feel resonated or motivated with from everything that you shared and just like talking with us. And for me, like, yeah, I'm probably gonna end this and go cry. But just feeling motivated myself just to, yeah, feel seen and heard, and for you to share your journey this far and the amazing things that you're doing, and just kind of kick in the DA, get plugging away through all, like, even as I navigate through a lot of BS. So
Yeah, Miigwech for coming on.
Miigwech for having me there. I'm glad I could contribute and do right by you guys. You know, like I said before, like I've seen Ozawa and stuff around. You know, and, like you guys at Anishinaabe, you know, just really kind of setting great examples and stuff like that. You know, like um, I'm maybe like 2 years maybe younger than you guys, but like I've always kind of looked at you guys as like older siblings and just being like inspired by you guys and stuff. And you with Skogaput, quite, you know, raising your kid and stuff. Like I didn't think about doing it until you guys, you know, started that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I'm just like when you
Miigwech.
guys asked me, I was like, holy freak, man, being asked to jump up to the big leagues here. So like I was really honored, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they asked. Like, can't believe I got like Ozawa to sign my book there. Yeah, yeah, I remember. I remember you laughing at Ozawa. I was like, "Frick, why'd you do that?" He's like, "He asked me to."
yeah. It's like, what'd you ask me for his autograph for?
Yeah,
Just kidding.
yeah,
Story of my life.
yeah.
Oh, walking beside this guy. When and if you write your book, I will be asking for your autograph, Bemwidood.
Make sure you do it in front of Marie
Well.
there, so she can be like, "Why do you want this autograph?" She'll be chomping at the bit waiting to do that to me. Yeah, I rip on Marie all the time there, and so Shkudenin started ripping on me, and Marie's like, "Hell yeah, man! You got what you got coming."
Oh, that's too good.
Well, you got a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, yeah, I
With
got a YouTube channel.
your
Um,
lessons on there.
yeah, I got my grammar lessons on there. And it's under my legal, or not even my legal name. It's like kind of like my res name, Falcon McLeod, and then it's Shabogesic, Shabogesic. So I have my YouTube lessons on there, for my lessons for when I teach. It's subject to change. um, there are mistakes I've made. Like I'm just gonna come out and say it. There's mistakes I made throughout the videos, and because I teach between so many places, I'm slowly working on fixing those issues that I have in those lessons. So like, don't get too attached to some of the videos in there, because they will change. I would say the VAI stuff is good for now. The VTI stuff, like, don't be afraid to throw some of that stuff out, and some of the VII stuff. I screwed the pooch on the freaking fourth person on VII. I kind of thought it was the same as the VTA, like for the noun stuff, like adding or taking the plural suffix and changing the G to an N sound. Nope. So those are some of my mistakes, and but like I want to rectify those. I'm working on VTA stuff for that, and I got some stuff that I'm really excited about and proud of, and I got like I'm buying audio equipment and video equipment to up my game. I could probably grab a green screen from one of my schools and stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna do that for this next set of videos here, but like I got some equipment here.
Oh, nice.
An overhead projector? Just
No,
kidding.
it's
Obviously I'm kidding.
It's a prompter. What it is you hook up your camera to it that records you, and it has a built-in computer monitor into it. So you can look right at your camera and read a script, but it looks like you're looking right into the camera.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so
so like an actual prompter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's got a computer screen into it and stuff there. And so I'm looking forward to using that in my lessons and being more, because like my first few were just screen recordings, and now I'm getting into like the whole YouTube production and stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping to do more.
YouTuber.
Yeah, YouTuber there.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say we should have asked you if you had anything to plug. Yeah.
Yeah, got that. I got some other stuff that I'm working on independently, like a Nipissing dictionary and my own kind of Nipissing reference grammar book or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just to have those resources that kind of come together. Yeah, those are coming eventually.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Then you can sign my copy once you're published.
Get a stamp there.
Ever sick.
I had a vision you were coming, so I got this stamp.
Mean it you?
Chimigwech.
Yeah,
Chimigwech.
Chimigwech Gabzindao Kinawea. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, Enweying Our Sound. To reach us by email, find us at oursound.podcast@gmail.com. You can find all of our links to Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, Instagram, etc. at our linktree, which is linktr.ee/enweying.oursound. Our theme song was done by myself, Neen Mashkokabwitkwe, and artwork completed by Nishime, my younger brother, Brent Beauchamp. Chimigwech.